Okay.
All right, my name is Susie Romero, and I'm going to be conducting the DBS Bible study today, and we're going to go ahead and do the Bible study on Mark, on the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, 1 through 9. Okay, and so before we even start, I'm going to go ahead and take us through some imagery of the parable, and then we're going to ease into some more projective art. Any questions? No? Okay.
No, I like the idea of art.
Yeah, we're going to play today, guys. Ooh, can you not see that, Nicole?
I can see it's good.
All right, what are some thoughts or observations that you were able to pick up on the video?
That was the saddest I think I've ever done.
I didn't want to say it, but I was like,
That's right. I mean, that's an observation, right?
I didn't feel perky like I normally do.
So you felt sad?
Well, that was because of the way the seeds were portrayed. Which
Yes.
yeah. So
The seeds were sad.
yeah, but
Sure you
I don't know if
always
that's pertinent to the to the study. I apologize.
No, it's okay. What else? Anything else that stood out? Or different than what you imagined?
Yeah, I'm just trying to process that.
Okay, so go ahead.
I don't know, it was I mean good life lessons. It goes along with what it talks about in Mark about where to plant your seed and stuff. Kind of gives it a good visual of life, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and you have your handout of the Mark on Blue Bible, and you're only going to go up to where it starts from Mark chapter 1 and then 4 chapter 4 and finish at 9. So can I have a volunteer to go ahead and begin reading, and then right when Jesus is talking, we'll have another person follow through.
I'll start.
Okay.
Again, Jesus began to teach by the lake. The crowd that gathered around him was so large that he got into a boat and sat in it out in the lake, while the people were along the shore at the water's edge. He taught them many things by parables, and in his teaching said, "Listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up." Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no roots. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants, so that they did not bear grain. Still others fell. Other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, and produced a crop, some multiplying 30, some 60, some 100 times. Then Jesus said, "Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear."
Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and use the markers or pencils that you have, or if you have something already in hand, and go ahead and look for repeated words or repeated phrases. And then also while you're working, think about the who, the what, and the where, and the why. What's going on in this parable? And what is the purpose of Jesus' sermon? And if you get done, you can go ahead and come up to the board, and I want you guys to go ahead and just fill in one spot, whether it's a repeated word or whether you are adding to the who, what, and where. You guys are so quiet. And if,
Just repeat it once, right?
and if you still feel like you need, oh no, I'm moving forward. Well, no, if you feel like you need help, I do have like a little cheat sheet right here. Do you want to flip that over right now? Where is it? Right here, sorry. I hit it. Right, the parables are hidden messages.
All right.
There's your hidden treasure. although these weren't important, these were repeated phrases. I feel like these are important words, or while doing the formal, while doing my formal, while getting into into the parable when Mark is speaking about giving these analogies or giving these metaphors, and learning about this, there was a lot of conversation about his certain way of Jesus' certain way of speaking to the crowd. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that last verse, you have those who hear. Let me see. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear, because in response to those 4 seeds, there's a process of how we identify, how we respond, and how we will act. And so, in reading those 4 seeds, is there anything that you think that's possibly missing on the why, on the who, what, and where, and why? What is the first, if you look at the 4 seeds, the little hidden treasure I gave you, the little cheat sheet? What does it say, Nicole?
First seed fell on the path and the birds ate it. This refers to those who hear the message and want the kingdom, but it doesn't last and they are snatched away into them.
Yes. So this is, I'm going to go ahead. You said the word. What word was it? What's the magical word as to why this is important? Read it one more
I'm
time.
not sure of the question.
So can you read it one more time?
The mess.
The first seed fell on the path and the birds ate it. This refers to those who hear the message and want the kingdom, but it doesn't last and they are snatched away once again.
Starts with a K.
Kingdom.
Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It's sorry if I'm not explaining it, but this is why it's very like this is the hidden message. Is our response to the kingdom.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Okay.
Kingdom.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Yes. This is important, but not. It's just describing. It's describing the actual environment.
Okay.
But Jesus, or what Mark is trying to convey, is how we as individuals, we identify, we respond, we act in response to the kingdom. So if you want to go ahead and read the second one, Nora, the second seed.
The second seed is on the rocky ground when the message is received, but they immediately fall away once trouble or adversity comes to their faith.
And how many of us experience that? And we will talk about this more in the application. So just maybe think about that, how we wrestle with that on a daily basis. Go ahead, Nat. Number 3. Oh, I'm sorry, did you not get one?
The third seed is one who responds to the kingdom, but continues in the desire and cares of the world. One who tries to have both, but is consumed by the world.
Okay. And Shelley, the last one.
The 4th seed is in good soil. The one who hears, accepts, and obeys the message of the kingdom is a hearer that leaves self and the affairs of the world behind with a conviction of devotion and sacrifice regardless of the costs.
Yeah. So, as I was attempting to convey, is that the parable is meant, and for the hearer to evaluate how we will respond to this, preparation that Jesus was slowly preparing his disciples as he was going to, be put to death at the cross. And so he speaks to about how there's a simple idea of hearing But when we wrestle, when we go back to falling into one of these makes of these seeds, that's when it becomes difficult. And that's when we lose sight. So, and there's also this idea of, you know, Jesus placing some form of judgment on those who are not responding. But either way, we are responding, whether we are accepting or rejecting. Every day we respond. And so we respond to either our earthly desires, or are we going to follow the perspective of the kingdom? So now we're going to move on. Nicole, you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Lastly, if we have any questions. And then I also got my in-depth student here. Matt too, who's a preacher. So please chime in whenever you feel that everyone can learn. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys to, in response just to the text that you read, I want you to go ahead and fold your paper in fours, and just in response to the text, chapter Mark 4, 1 through 9, I want you to go ahead and illustrate your response, what you see, just the context, just in the context, draw what you see in the context of the actual verse.
Okay.
Yes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm really digging these pens. Like sparkly pens.
Costco. There's crowns also. I don't know. Enforce, yes.
And then we do a drawing each of the squares?
Of each of the seeds, each of the 4 seeds in response to the text right here.
I didn't do well in kindergarten. Can you show me this? Okay. Go left. Half. Thank you.
And another
Serious.
half? No, it's okay.
The challenge.
Okay, thank you. I think very nice. Thank you.
Like the text, like what?
Just as like this raw interpretation of what we read from
here?
from
This one?
from this one.
Blue letter Bible.
From the blue letter Bible, yes. Just the context of what it's in the verse.
Okay. The context of the verse. So not live application.
Not live application, no. We will get there in about 15 minutes or sooner. I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
Hey, it's all little. I don't draw well. Oh, shit. Okay. Let's do it. That's that case. You were my newest Jonas.
Yes.
It's easy or fast? It's really.
That's good.
This reminds me of Sunday school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun though with Brady had to sit in church?
I don't know, my church is pretty hopping, but I would like to sit, I'm gonna talk to my pastor about that.
We grew up Catholic, so Sunday school was a treasure.
I don't even know, I don't remember my church having a Sunday school.
That small, huh?
Yeah. We'll give you guys a few more minutes while you guys are wrapping it up. Or not, or take your time. You still have one more, right, Janelle? Okay.
Yeah, just one more. I'm almost done.
Can you close your ears?
Those are beautiful ears.
Thank you. Not forget their ears.
Excuse you.
That's what I just told Lisa. Sorry.
I'm trying to be an artist, but I can't work like this. So, okay. I'll say it.
We had burritos for dinner.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So, anybody want to share their illustration? You don't have to, totally volunteer.
You're looking at me, so.
Oh.
This is my picture. Put a bird in there, some rocks, and some thorns, and that's the tree. 160. Oh wait, I should go up, right? Yes.
Your interpretation.
And here's the sun. He looks mad, but in this one, the sun is happy.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. Anybody else?
Same. Mine's the same. Seeds on the road, so the birds come and eat it. They didn't listen. And then the thorns have taken over on this one, so it didn't allow them to grow. These little pink things are rocks, right? And then they withered over and died because the sun scorched them, which is these coming up here. And then this one was on the good soil, so it multiplied.
Okay.
And grew it all. And even though there's birds and there's things around it, it was still able to grow because it was in good soil.
Yeah, and you've mentioned that there's birds and things that are still around it that...
There's still birds, there's still thistles, there's still rocks in some places, but it was able to thrive in the good soil.
Yes.
Even though
Constellation,
there were
great
things that couldn't hurt.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
I did, now that I think about it, I did draw roots in the soil. It's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
It was able to take root. That's good.
Cool. All right. Anybody else before we move forward?
So I did Jesus on the lake. I did the birds taking off with the seeds, the rocks not bearing any, and the thorns. In the back I got the sun that grew.
Nice. I like that. I like that. All right. So as we're going to go ahead and move on into the interpretation, okay, we've already, again, talked about how Mark was using the parable and used what, the use of the farmer and the seed in relation to his time period and what was norm for that community in that time. And then the midst of that, in between everything that we just read in the context of your photos, it is relating to our way of responding, identifying, and acting to what Jesus was in the process of moving forward. And I included the remaining of Mark because starting from Mark 10 to 20 unfolds the purpose of his first parable, which was Mark 4, chapter 1 through 9, of the beginning of his parables. So we're going to go ahead and now move into the interpretation. So you have in your packet, you have these two sheets right here. We're going to primarily focus on the first one. I gave you the second page just because it cut off. But I want us to take the time just to go ahead and I want you to take maybe just a few minutes and read that to yourself and underline anything that speaks out to you or anything that you feel is important, or what is this commentator, the commentator trying to say in response to Mark.
Which one are we looking at?
Which one's first?
Oh yeah, sorry. Just the first one is called chapter 4.
Okay.
Yeah, the second page we're really not, it was just in case you wanted to read to the last sentence because it cuts it off. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. It cuts it off. Think about what are the implications of this of this commentary. What are they trying to help you understand further? All right, are you ready to talk about it? Or you still need,
Just a little bit.
okay. All right. You ready? Yes. Okay. You're like, I need a little bit more commentary.
No. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Okay, so any comments, anything that stood out to you, something you learned from what was given in the commentary?
Okay, I think an obvious one, but maybe like what you said it, in a parable of truth, it expressed through concrete pictures rather than abstraction. So I guess Jesus just giving us a visual
Yes.
to, and I'm sorry, I don't want to like get ahead of myself.
No.
But the way he phrases it so that the people he's speaking to understand what he's talking about, he relates it to them.
Yes. That's very good insight. That's very true.
From what it's portraying is that it's mostly about growth.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was, yep,
Can I get a gold star? Or
yes.
Yeah.
And if you look at your first learning objective, it talks about
Oh,
growth. So I'm gonna write that down.
okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
But it is a process.
It is a process.
Yeah.
And then, Nicole, you say visual, right? Visual imagery, which is what we did with, let me spell that. Which is why I got the little cartoon that was a little sad, and I had you guys drawing. And okay, so what else? And so if you, do you have a thought yet, Janelle? I know you're.
Oh, I think what stood out to me most is what, I'm sorry, your name is Matt? Matt was saying that it had, well, of course, it's a cluster of 3 parables, but this parable is about growth and that it illuminates the character of the kingdom of God. And the way that Mark placed it at this point illustrates the character of the coming of the kingdom of God proclaimed by Jesus. I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, yes. And if you look at where it says I'm not sure if you read that, where it says they indicated the presence of Jesus and signaled the release of the mysterious forces. That in between is talking about the already, but not yet.
Yep.
Yes.
What's the process of sowing, planting, watering, growing?
Yes.
And kind of what I've got out of this is that for one, growth is important, but not just for us to grow, but to spiritually grow, to in every way of our lives, not just spiritually, but every way. Through this program, we're growing. We're understanding things, we're processing things, and so it's important to be able to follow instruction that Jesus is giving, saying, to put yourself in good soil, allow yourself to grow in a place that is healthy, and not in a place full of thistles, or in a place where you're not going to thrive. Because his ultimate goal, I think, is for us to thrive, is for us to be in a place where we become everything he's created us to be, and not just spiritually, but mentally and in every way.
Yes.
Good. I took it just a little bit different. I took it as, and I like that though, because it totally feeds where I was going. I took it as each one of those segments as a stage in life, and not to stick there. Because I know sometimes we get to a place in life, like we can be in the rocks, and then we just go, that's it. And we're not fruitful with our lives.
Yes, yes, and we'll get. That's a great part. Which I think if Lynn was here, he'd be like, "Hey, are we moving into application?" But yes, that is awesome, because that's what we're going to dive into next. And then I'm just going to say, I mean, even within the application part, as MFTs and as pastors, pastoral counselors as well, we encounter this and part of our process in dealing with families and dealing with the church, and also dealing with clients who we're going to be serving in the future.
So people are stuck in a stage of life or stuck in a situation in life, and they come to a pastor or a counselor to help find a way around that, to find a way through that.
Wouldn't it be so neat to like identify it for them, but like, this is where you're at.
Which seat are you? You're here, and you want to be here. So before we go there, yes, which is going back to where we're always responding.
About 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then what we're going to do now is, since our time is coming to the end and you guys have already got us where I want to be, is I want us to go ahead and take our time, the last few minutes that we have, and examine your heart. Allow yourself to be led by the Holy Spirit and identify what area in your life, or how in your life, are you responding to the 4 seeds. And not only in your life, if you want to take it to where you're at as a student, or as an MFT therapist to be, or a pastor, take the time right now to just on your page, on your drawing, to go ahead and illustrate any last photo, or just sit in silence. But go ahead and do that. guys are just finishing up, I'm just going to close out in prayer. Heavenly Father, just thank you for giving us this time together and speaking into our lives and touching our hearts. We ask that you be with us in our journey of life, and as students, as mothers, as daughters, as individuals that we are, and we just ask that you continue to guide us to further the kingdom and to understand our goal and our purpose in life. We just ask that you give us wisdom as we are all struggling as students and in our lives. In your great name, amen. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm done. I'm done.
All right, one down. 1, 2, 3. That's it. 3 more to go.